Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode. I've just finished editing and I just wanted to give a little snippet of what to expect in this episode because it went a little bit differently to I had planned. I had planned to do an episode to talk about how to cope with the weeks you don't have your kids and how to, fill those spaces. And then this session just basically turned into a bit of a therapy session for myself. I admitted a few things I hadn't said out loud before, and my brain yesterday when I was filming this was a little bit all over the place. In this podcast, I zoned out a few times and I did lose my train of thought. I have edited the blank spaces out, but I hope you can follow along. I do talk about what happened in the early stages when I didn't have the kids and how I coped and what I did and now what I do. And then at the end, made a few realizations out loud, which is stuff that I've never really shared before. So I hope you enjoy this session. I would love your feedback. I'd love your support. Thank you ever so much. Here it is. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Co-Parent Diaries. Yay! So usually I film these on a Friday, but today is Monday, and as soon as I filmed this, I'm editing it and getting it up straight away so I don't fall behind. I was meant to record this on Friday, but I just finished filming the rest of the modules for my co-parent blueprint course, which I'm so excited about, but I was talked out. I think I did 3 or 4 hours worth of talking and my brain didn't work and I had to just stop. So here I am. It's my kid-free week and the house sounds like this. All I can hear is the fridge running. That's it. It's just so quiet. And I thought, what a perfect topic to talk about this week, which is around the adjustment of not having the kids. It's still something that I am getting used to. And 18 months into co-parenting, it still sometimes doesn't get any easier. I actually did have my girls today. Their dad dropped them off to me while he went to work because they have a pupil-free day. And I just said to him, hey, don't bother booking time off work. Just drop them to me, I'll have them for the day. We went out, we had a picnic, went to the park, and then I did my work and they just chilled out here. So I finished tidying up and it's just all gone quiet again, and it's something that in the early days I really struggled with. Like, I think the first weekend I didn't have my kids, it was like and I was so excited. I'd never been without them. I'd been a mum for 6 years? 6 years? I can't remember now. Yeah, 6 years. And I'd had them all the time. All the time. My kids didn't do daycare. They were literally with me all the time. Obviously had the few times off where I might have gone away for a weekend, or work-related stuff. But I'd never been in the house on my own. I remember one day in lockdown, it was Mother's Day, and my ex-husband said to me, what do you want for Mother's Day? And I just said, can you please take the kids out of the house so I can clean and tidy in peace? And he was like, okay. And he took them out for 2 hours, and I spent that 2 hours cleaning the house. And then I sat down and I was like, oh, it's so peaceful. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted for Mother's Day. I craved the silence. I craved it so much. Someone with unmedicated ADHD, noise is my trigger. I can sort of deal with mess, but noise is one of my triggers. It's overwhelming and I can't think. It's like I go blind, but it's noisy. And working full-time, running your own business, juggling the kids all the time was a lot. And I did burn out, and a big part of my marriage breakup was this resentment because I didn't get to leave, I didn't get to have a break, I didn't get to be me anymore. I lost who I was. And when my ex-husband moved out and we went 60-40, I started to get that time back. I started to carve time back for myself. And I remember the first weekend that I was here by myself. So still in this house. This wasn't the playroom. This was actually the living space. And I had the TV over there and I had the big corner couch because I'd got a new corner couch that weekend. And I just sat and I had some pasta and sauce, which is a UK 2-minute noodle type thing, 2-minute pasta type thing that my mum had sent from England. And I started watching Vampire Diaries and I cried my eyes out. And it makes me emotional thinking about it because I remember how much pain I was in then, how I could not believe that this was my life. I had almost manifested it because I used to say, like, I'm so jealous of my divorced friends. They get every other weekend off. I'd love every other weekend off. I'd love to just do nothing. And like, I'd love to have it off in the house and not have to go out or go stay somewhere or spend money. I just love a weekend off. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I've got it. I didn't actually want this life. Like, of course I wanted my marriage to work. Of course I wanted a happy family, but you know, that's not the case. So there's a big realization that, holy shit, this is happening. So I was freelancing at the time. So again, I spent a lot of my time working, getting out and about. I spent a lot of money. I was filling a hole with buying stuff. I was catching up with friends who had kids, but I didn't have mine. And yeah, it was an adjustment. I remember I couldn't sleep at night. The house was too quiet. I had to sleep with my TV on and I'd have Vampire Diaries playing all night, or Big Bang Theory or New Girl. I wouldn't be watching it, but it would be playing on in the background because the house was just so quiet. I was used to hearing coughs or sneezes or mum or their iPads early in the morning, but it was so quiet. I remember as well, I used to double check the doors. So I'd also never lived alone I'd never lived alone. I lived alone at university, but in a dorm of loads of other people. And then I finished university and I was living at my mum's with my ex, and then we moved out. I had never, ever, ever lived alone. And I thought, holy shit, I'm 35 years old and I've never lived alone. This is going to be an adjustment. I remember triple checking the doors, making sure they were locked, and then I'd lock my bedroom door. I'd literally get into bed and lock my bedroom door just to be safe. And I would not get up until the sun was up. I wouldn't leave my bedroom until the sun was up because I was too afraid of going out of my bedroom at night. Thankfully I've got an ensuite so I could still go to the bathroom, and I'd take water with me to bed, but that was it. I'd be on my phone. I'd make sure that I didn't share publicly that I didn't have the kids. I was so paranoid people would know that I was home alone. I only had a very close group of friends that knew. My next door neighbour, she knew, and I had a few friends around the corner, but it definitely was an adjustment. And as much as I was scared, it was also so freeing, so incredibly freeing, because I was like, I can do what I want. I literally, for the first time in my life, adult life, I can do what I want. If I want to get up at midnight and go get ice cream, I can get up at midnight and go get ice cream. If I want to binge watch Netflix till 3 a.m. and then sleep in till 12, I can. What the hell do I do with this freedom? And it was so overwhelming. And then I decided, because the ADHD in me was like, okay, let's take up 20,000 hobbies. I started painting. I started doing pottery. I was starting more businesses and more businesses and more. I then started to fill all this time. When what I should have done is focused on my health, because that was the thing that I neglected the most. And it's something that I'm still neglecting and I'm still trying to prioritize. And I'm getting there. I'm better than I used to, but that's what I should have spent all my free time doing. So I started to fill it with stuff because I just did not know how to cope. I didn't know what to do with my free time. Sitting on the sofa watching Netflix felt like a waste of time and space. It was wild. Over time, the weekends that I had to myself, I still got the kids back on a Sunday, so I only really had a Friday night and a Saturday night to myself. I built a lot of Lego. I didn't go out much. I was still grieving, heavily grieving. It was my 35th birthday, and I was like, right, I'm gonna get my life back now. So he'd moved out in the April, this was the June. So I'd had April, May, June. I'd had 3 months to myself to, I don't know, figure stuff out, grieve, whatever I was doing. And I was like, you know what, it's time I get my life back on track. I decided on my 35th birthday that I would download Bumble and I'd start dating, and I would come off my antidepressants cold turkey, which is not recommended, don't do it, but I did. And so I was like, right, I'm gonna spend my kid-free weekends just going on dates. And I thought in my head, right, I'm just gonna go out for dinner and go and do all of those things. And it was shortly after then that I met my current partner, who on TikTok we call him Mr. Aussie. We met towards the end of June, just randomly, so random. And he shared the same kid-free weekends as me. And then my kid-free weekends started to be full of adventure and fun and life and adventure. I think I already said that. And it was incredible. I was like, oh my God, I'm starting to feel alive again. I was this person who was so anxious all the time and so overwhelmed with this freedom of my life that I just didn't know what to do. I literally did not know what to do. And this guy came into my life who also had been through a very similar thing as me, and he loved to travel, and he's Australian, and you know, he loves adventure, and he had a great car, and he was like, I'll take you out and I'll take you on adventures. And for months we just had an absolute blast. I mean, we still do have a blast on the weekends, but that's where my next phase of healing came from. I started to feel like me again. I was like, oh my God, there's life outside of being a mum. We were climbing mountains, we were going camping, I was being taken out for dinner. My ex-husband didn't take me on a date in 14 years. This was wild to me, being taken out for dinner and being taken on dates. And so my free time on the weekends started to be taken up with this adventure and love and life. And like, I can't tell you how amazing it was to start feeling like me again. Travel and adventure is my absolute, it's me to the core. I hate being stuck inside, and I had spent my whole motherhood inside, feeling like I was trapped because I was just so overwhelmed with everything. I just was like, I can't go outside, like it's just too overwhelming, and I'd have panics that someone was going to steal my kids, and you know what, I'd take them out now and then, but definitely not as much as I should have done, and not really on my own. And it was amazing, but at the same time it was amazing, I also felt really guilty because I knew there were so many women in my situation that were struggling in their marriage or struggling being full-time mums, single full-time mums, that didn't get this adventure that I was getting. And I started to feel really guilty about it. And I was sharing it on TikTok, and every time I shared it, I was like, I hope those people don't see this. I hope they don't feel bad about their life, or I hope people don't think I'm gloating or, you know, whatever. And people didn't, and people really started to join in on this journey, and they really started to get inspired or share things from themselves, which again was amazing. And I'm so deeply proud of this community that we've built on TikTok of co-parents and single mums and married women and dads. During the week now, so fast forward now 18 months, my partner moved in with me, so he moved into the house February, March this year, and he got a job. And we both actually started working full time at the same time. So I then decided to get a corporate job, no more freelancing. My dream was to buy a house, and I needed a stable income, and the perfect job came up. And now I still spend my weekends adventuring. We still go away. We've just come back from a really amazing weekend away. But during the week, my weeks look a little bit different now. I'm not in the house by myself all the time. He's obviously here, which is great. But I still feel like uncomfortable. Maybe that's the word. I don't know if that's the right word. When I don't have the kids for the week. So previously, before this year, it was 60-40, and I actually saw my kids every couple of days. Now I go a full week without seeing my kids if it's a normal week. By Tuesday, I miss them massively, and I just want to ring them, but I respect that my daughter's asked me not to. And I think about them a lot. How was their day at school today? What did they get up to at the weekend? You know, it's lots of people say like, wow, it's your business. You should be able to ask what your kids are up to and find out what they're up to. You're their mum, you should know where they are. And like, yeah, I agree to an extent, but also it's not really my business what they get up to when they're with their dad. And I'm not one to be like, what are you up to? What have you done this weekend? Da, 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 da. Because I have to respect that it's his time with them. But I'd love to be a fly on the wall every little, just for like 2 minutes every single day, just to know they're okay. And I know they are. But just hearing their little voice, just knowing that they're okay, it's strange not knowing what they've been up to. Still strange. And like my kids are 6 and 7, like they don't remember. Like today is Monday. I said, did you have a lovely weekend? Yeah. What did you get up to? Can't remember. So I don't get a lot out of them. And then in a few weeks' time, they'll tell me what they did, and they'll say it was yesterday, but it was actually 3 months ago. So maybe when they're older, I'll get it. I don't know. But you just have to be like, you know, I've got to a point now where I have to be very comfortable not knowing what my kids are up to or how they are for a week at a time. And it's a strange feeling. But also, like, I think sometimes my brain will just block it all out. And then sometimes when I get the kids back, I get really overwhelmed and really overstimulated quickly, because I'm like, oh, hold on a minute. I've just had a week of like not being mum, you know, not having the kids, not being responsible to anyone. And then it's like, well, I've got them. And it's Friday, and they're tired from school, and they've been at school all day, and they've got their emotions, and they come back, and it goes from just being like this, like quiet, to like loud and overstimulating, and the iPads start going, and mum snacks, mum this. And I do get a lot of the feelings when the kids come back to me. They do have a lot of feelings sometimes. And then I'm trying to adjust, and I'm trying to make sure I'm okay, and trying to make sure they're okay. And yeah, sometimes it can be quite wild. But it's all an adjustment. And I feel like I don't think I'll ever fully relax into this routine. I try to. I relax into the kid week routine. Like, we got that down packed. We know what we're up to. When I don't have the kids, at the moment, I'm going to be totally honest with you, at the moment, I feel like, and I felt this since day one of 50/50, I don't want to get too comfortable on my kid off weeks, because anything could change and I could get them full time, and I don't want to get too comfortable not having them, because that might change. Does that make, I hope that makes sense. And this is going to sound wild, but I hope I don't get them full time, because we 50/50 co-parent for a reason. And for me to get them full time, it would be because something big had happened. But I always still feel like it is still on that mum. Like, it's still on me. I'm always the fallback. I'm going to be the default. So as much as I would love to go, right, my week off, this is my routine, I'm going to do it every day, and this is what I need to survive and thrive and be the best, I'm so afraid to really put that in play, because I'm afraid someone will take it away. I'm afraid to enjoy it too much, and then I think how I'll be perceived if I enjoy my weeks off too much. Does that make me a bad mum because I enjoy those weeks? I know it doesn't. I know I love my kids to pieces, but there's that, I guess I've got this guard up at the moment about my off weeks, because maybe I don't want to enjoy it because I feel guilty. I don't want to enjoy it because I don't want it taken away from me. It might be changed. I don't want to get into a routine and fall in love with a routine, and then it gets switched up, because it tends to be what's always happened in my life. I definitely haven't spoken about this much, but I worry how I would cope being a full-time mum, having my kids full-time, no co-parenting. I worry sometimes about that. And I think maybe that's why I don't want to enjoy my weeks off, because what if I love it too much and then something happens and I can't do that anymore, and then I can't cope. I haven't said that out loud before. It's a therapy session, this podcast this week. I fear that I'm going to enjoy my life too much, like it is right now, and that getting the kids back full time would disrupt that, and I'd go back to sinking, fight or flight all the time, overstimulated mum. And I don't ever want to go back to that person that I was before. I kind of am liking the person that I'm turning into right now, even though I do feel like I'm still quite a way off of becoming the relaxed and at peace version of myself that I was, or I want to be. I think this is probably a fear of a lot of parents who do co-parent, but maybe they don't say it out loud out of fear of being judged. And I don't think I'd share this on TikTok for a while, because it can be a bit of a nasty place sometimes. I think it's okay to fear it. I think you're normal. I think you're human. I think if you said it to anybody who wasn't in your position, they're going to go, but you're a mum, that's what you signed up for. You have to like being a mum full time. You have to have your kids full time, when, you know, in reality you don't have to. You know, I always say it takes two people to make a baby, and they should share equal opportunity and equal responsibility. So yeah, that's where we're at. That's this episode. A little bit different to what I've done before. It was definitely a bit of a therapy session. I hope I didn't go too off tangent and too left, right, never got to the point. I do normally have notes, but not this week. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Please, 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 if you haven't already, I would love it if you could hit subscribe and leave me a review. The more subscribers and the more reviews, the more I can do with this podcast. Maybe one day I won't be filming in my house on my iPhone. I could be in a fancy studio with fancy guests. It would be so much fun. And don't forget to follow me at Abundantly Lucy on Instagram and TikTok, and also the.coparent.diaries on both TikTok, Instagram and YouTube. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week.